Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas, and today this video is not a whole lot to do with the SEC, in case you couldn't tell by the title already, but Brendan Sorsby got the injunction from a Lubbock judge today. The guy who bet on his own team when he was at Indiana, admitted to it effectively, and we had the betting records of, 9,000 plus wagers, $90,000 plus gambled. This was the most cut and dry, easily enforceable, you can't play anymore case. And I want to start this off by saying, once again, what I've stressed a bunch of times with this entire discourse, I have zero ill will towards Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby. At least, while we were leading up to this. I had no reason to want to go out of my way to make sure that Texas Tech didn't have their quarterback or Sorsby didn't play. I hope the best for Brendan Sorsby for the rest of his life, but he cannot play this year. This is the most disgusting violation of what sports is supposed to be that I've ever seen. If you can think of one other example, can you imagine if Jalen Brunson was caught gambling on Knicks games? Do you think he'd play the rest of the finals? It's the most flagrant loss of common sense I could ever imagine happening. And almost here's why it worries me so much. First off, the integrity of the sport is totally gone now. There is now literally nothing stopping players from gambling on their own games because they just watched a massive, high-profile story where a guy was caught gambling on his own team, had bots running bets, a bunch of different accounts, and he's missing 2 bye games to start the year. He's not missing a single conference game. So now what is stopping any player from doing the same thing, knowing that they'll miss nothing meaningful? We now have absolutely no reason to ever believe that any game is actually being competed, with integrity. We can just assume that every guy, or it's safe to assume, if someone makes a bad play, what is to stop everybody from immediately going to the conclusion that he bet against his own team? There's nothing. There's nothing because there's no enforceable rule that stops you from betting against your own team. And the other thing that I genuinely don't even think is that far-fetched at this point is that because you can bet on your own team and still play football, I mean this in the most serious way possible. Here's my hypothetical. Take LSU, for example. I've talked about how Sam Levitt's got the injury bug a little bit, how I think he might even struggle a bit this year. If that is true, can anyone tell me what is stopping Lane from calling Joe Burrow and just asking him if he wants to go play at LSU again? Seriously, let's say the Bengals aren't going to the playoff, or maybe it's just their bye week. There's nothing stopping Joe Burrow from going to play for LSU if both parties want to. Nothing is stopping it. Don't tell me rules. There are no rules. Every rule just gets overruled by a local judge. There is nothing stopping a college program from calling an active player in the NFL, not even one who went to their school. They can call whoever the hell they want. And they can say, look, man, we'd love to have you play for us this week. And it would just happen. Because there are no guidelines for who can play the sport. It doesn't matter if you don't have any eligibility or if you break the rules. There are no guidelines for who can play the sport. That's where we're at. We're at a point where anybody can play for anyone. And that is the most wide-reaching thing of all time. Florida, call Tim Tebow. Maybe he's still got some in him. Why not? Alabama, you can't run the ball? Call Derrick Henry. He'll come to the rock for you in Week 13 against Auburn. That's where we're at. We are at that point in college football where you can just call up anybody you want. And don't tell me I'm reaching here, because if you just follow what's going on to the conclusion, that's where we're going. We already have pros playing basketball. We have people who should be pros playing college football this year. And we have breaking the one rule that everybody has agreed on for all of time, which is that you can't bet on A, your own sport, but B, it doesn't have your own team, and it doesn't matter. So what is stopping an NFL player from coming to play for their alma mater? Nothing. Nothing is stopping it. Now, the number one comment I'll get on this is probably just well, then don't watch the sport. Don't watch it. Look, the Saturdays are still going to feel good. When we're actually in the season, it is still going to be college football. And I know that too. It's just that right now, when we don't have football and all of this off-the-field stuff, it's a total disaster. So obviously, it's very doom and gloom right now, and I'm a part of that. I'm definitely not pushing flowers right now. But it's just worth thinking about the consequences that are coming with the actions that are currently going on. And a Texas Tech account actually had a pretty interesting point of this. Coyote Raider on Twitter. He said Texas Tech just speed ran, killing the NCAA to save college sports. You're welcome. Now, when I first read that, I was like, dude, what? Like, shut up, man. You gave me a break. I actually don't even hate that line of thinking. I really don't. Because we're at a point where the NCAA clearly can't do anything. They can't do anything. This is the most obvious case of they can limit a guy's eligibility, and they couldn't do it. So it's very clear the NCAA does need to be done with. It needs to be disbanded. We need some degree of new governance. So could this Brendan Sorsby case perhaps just be the last domino that we have to deal with as fans before change happens? Like, that is possible. It is very possible that even though this is egregious, obviously I disagree with it. I think that most people who aren't diehard Texas Tech fans who don't care about their morals, I think everyone disagrees with it. But it's not a bad point to make to say this might just be the last bullet that we have to take as fans before the sport actually has rules in place. So that's kind of the optimistic way to look at it, right? You got to deal with Sorsby playing, but maybe this will be the last domino to fall. And look, I'm going to give this out. I said I have no ill will towards Texas Tech and Sorsby. That's still true. But in the same breath, I'm also just like going to be cheering against Tech and Sorsby all year. Because this is egregious. It's horrible. I hope Sorsby is healthy. I do not wish any injury on him. And I hope he has a good NFL career and he can gamble on himself all he wants when he's out of college football. I do hope Texas Tech falls flat on their face this year. I hope that happens because this is more egregious than Trinidad Chambliss. This is way more egregious than Trinidad Chambliss. I don't want to see anybody push that Trinidad and Sorsby are the same case. Do I agree that they both should be ineligible? I think so. But the Trinidad case is far less dangerous to the health of the sport than Sorsby's is. So we'll see what happens. What I'm choosing to try and leave you guys with here is what Coyote Raider said. You just speed ran killing the NCAA. It's a bad deal right now, but it might be the final bullet that we have to take. So I'll go with that. But anyways, I'm done with the eulogy. I'm done with the complaining. We're going to get right back to our normal college football preview stuff, SEC focused every single day until the season kicks off. So if you do want some more of that, you want some more happy stuff and actually looking at rosters and talking about on the field stuff and not complaining about all the off the field, which I will try and do less of. But subscribe to me here and follow me on Twitter. I've been Will Thomas, and I will see you next time.